everybody, Backyard Bullion here. Now today is a Wednesday, which means it's time for another thought-provoking, ponderous video. And this week in the UK, it is Mental Health Awareness Week. So I wanted to talk a little bit about mental health for me, share some of my story, and also how silver and gold and coins and investing in precious metals has helped me and my mental health over this last couple of years. Because whilst I've never been diagnosed with any kind of mental health disorder, I think like everybody in this world, at some point or another, I felt down, I felt up against it, just having a hard time, having a tough time. And I know that whilst I haven't been diagnosed with anything, I was struggling for a long, long time. And getting into silver, getting into gold, getting into backyard bullion and doing everything that I've been doing in this last 3+ years now has really helped me in the way that I live my life. And I thought I'd share a little bit about that here today. So Mental Health Awareness Week is going on in the UK at the moment, but it's, just because somebody says a certain week is a week about mental health awareness doesn't mean you can't talk about it in another time. So I think it's a really important topic, and I think if you are struggling with any mental health disorders, or if like me, you were not diagnosed with anything, but you feel a little bit, you just feel up against it, talk about it. That's the whole point of Mental Health Awareness Week. It is to raise awareness, to talk, go and talk to somebody, or if somebody wants to talk to you, make sure you listen. It's all about listening and just engage. I'll put a link down in the description below to the Mental Health Awareness Week website here in the UK, where there's a whole bunch of incredible resources for anybody who is struggling and also people who want to help as well. So please do go check that out if you are so inclined. So let's start with a little bit about my story. So I don't want to bore you with all the particulars. And as I said, I wasn't ever diagnosed with any kind of mental health issues. But like a lot of people, I think, in this world, I struggled for a very long time. I certainly struggled with work. And I didn't enjoy what I was doing. And I would come home from work feeling pretty drained, pretty sad. And I wasn't a very nice person to live with. Mrs. Backyard Bullion, at the time, commented numerous times that I was grumpy all the time. I just wasn't a pleasant person to be around. And it took quite a long time for me to really understand exactly what that was all about. And eventually I took the decision to quit my job at the time and leave, move on to something else, working for myself. And then the world of silver and gold came to pass. Now, I collected coins ever since I was a wee lad, and I had silver and everything in the form of old school coins like this folder here with some old crowns, although I didn't have quite so many back when I had quit that job, but I have now got quite a considerable number of old school silver coins. But I had a whole bunch of other things as well, and whilst I was working for myself, building up a little client list of private companies for me to work on, I had a lot more time on my hands, and I was able, very fortunately, to take up this silver pouring hobby. And suddenly something clicked, and it's really incredible. It's phenomenal. When you find something that excites you, that gets your juices flowing, it really is electric, and that's what happened to me. And I think the most important thing was that at that time, I was able to talk about it, and that's the whole, bringing it back to Mental Health Awareness Week. I was able to talk about how I was feeling about what I was doing, and whilst it was by no means at all a job, and and the same can be said for my sort of self-employed consultancy work. I was really enjoying what I was doing in terms of being able to work for myself, and when I did get a new client in or do a piece of work for a company, it was exciting because it was me and it was everything that I was doing, and it just ticked all those boxes for what I wanted to do. But the real passion came from silver, from collecting. I don't know whether it was the kind of collecting side of thing, but it focused me. It really did help focus me. Now, what I'm not saying here is that you can just quit your job, go and start collecting and investing in silver and start pouring silver, and it will solve any mental health issues that you might be having. There's a whole host of other things that went on in my life at that time that really did help. And of course, Mrs. Backyard Bullion is the big thing there to thank, because without her support for me to be able to go out and find my calling, so to speak, to support me to be there in the background to say, we'll be all right if this doesn't work out. You know, it's incredible. It's just really, it's so humbling, and I'm just so grateful to Mrs. Backyard Bullion for that support. So it's really important to have that support network in place, whether that's a loved one, friends, family, whoever it is. It's important to talk about things. And as well as all of that, it helped to get doggies. So we've got here these two name frames, Bowie and Pickle, our two dogs. And it just brought more focus to my life. It brought a lot more realization to my life and to our life generally. I mean, our lives are immeasurably different now that we have these two dogs, especially this one here, Pickle, because she is quite a handful. She's a very young dog, lots of energy, and it really does. I mean, it's very nice to see such a thing full of life and energy, but boy, oh boy, does it take a lot of work. But because of the way that we have kind of changed just generally how we live our lives, we are able to enjoy the smaller things like having the dogs, enjoying the dogs, not having to worry about the stresses and strains of that day job for me. I mean, I've got other stresses and strains now, and it's important to talk about those, I think, as well. So whilst I'm painting a fairly rosy picture that things are hunky-dory in the world of mental health, of course, anybody who's ever felt anything like I used to feel, you know, sort of feeling so, you know, somber about life generally, about work, and, you know, whether or not it's really kind of worth it to do the job you're doing, and it just seems pointless sometimes. I think having, you know, that perspective on things is really, really important. And whilst it can be very, very draining mentally to continue on with these things, I think having an appreciation of the bigger picture, find something else in your life that can excite you, that can drive any passions that you have. I think that's really important to get that balance and talk about it. Share it with people. It's really important to do. And that's what I endeavour to do here on my channel, because like it or not, a lot of you out there are essentially my de facto support network. You know, a lot of the things that I do in my personal life now with gold and silver and investing in precious metals, you can't just go down and tell all of your mates at the pub about these things, and you can't just go and you can't just tell your hairdresser what you do for a living. If somebody asks me now when I go out, what do you do for a living? Well, you know, I just say I work for myself. I'm a self-employed consultant. It's basically the little white lie that you have to tell. And it's, you know, it's difficult to keep all of that inside, especially when it's something you feel so passionate about and you want to really share about. So you guys out there are my de facto support network by being able to share a lot of what I'm doing here on the business and what I'm doing in terms of YouTube and hand-poured silver and coin collecting and investing and everything like that. It's really, really awesome to be able to share that with you guys. And that's very important to me. But YouTube comes with its own stresses and strains, and I'm not going to lie that, you know, being self-employed is bloody hard, let me tell you. It's really, especially when you get VAT registered. By the way, if you're a UK individual or EU, never, ever, ever become VAT registered. It is an absolute nightmare. It really is. It's so much admin and extra work. It's unimaginable if you haven't had any appreciation of it. And for those of you who do have an appreciation of it, I'm well in that club now. So yeah, joys of joys that is. But talking about it is important. So I've made a number of different videos in this last couple of months talking about that, talking about a lot of the negatives about silver and gold and investing and VAT and Brexit and all of that. It's cathartic. It's really important to do that. But at the same time, sometimes you get quite a lot of hate, especially when you do a video that's negative on silver. If you come out and say silver has got all of these bad points, you get so many trolls coming out. And I don't really want to address the trolls too much, because by doing that, you give them credence, you give them recognition, when I don't think that they deserve any recognition. However, I think it is important to say this one thing to the trolls. I don't care about anything that you have to say. I really don't. And if you are one of those negative Nancys who just wants to pick holes in anything and everything that anybody ever does in life, go be your own troll. Go do what you want to do. I'm not going to pay any attention to you beyond what I need to make sure that I'm happy and safe. So that is basically where we are. I think that gold and silver, for me, has been a huge, huge help in my mental health. It's focused me, it's put me on the right path to happiness. And it's not about making money. anymore. You know, I run a small business. I could leave that and earn more money in a job. I could earn more money doing my own consultancy work. It's not about making millions. It's about being creative. It's about being passionate about something. It's about enjoying the short time that we have here on the planet with my dogs, with my wife, with my family, and with you guys. And that's what's important. So that's a bit of my story, a bit of my background. I hope you guys have enjoyed that. If you have and something has resonated with you and you want to reach out to somebody and to talk, Mental Health Awareness Week website is down in the description below. I'd highly recommend you go and have a look. But the whole point of Mental Health Awareness Week is about listening, and I'm no mental health expert, but I'll be happy to answer any questions that you guys have, to listen to any questions or comments that you guys have. But if you're a troll, you can just go away, because there's no place in this world for anybody who simply shouts at people on the internet for no other reason than that they hate them. It's just silly. And I hope one day we can live in a troll-free internet, but that is probably never going to happen, because let's be honest, it's the internet, and that is the wondrous place for trolls. If you do experience, if you have a little YouTube channel or social media or whatever it is, and you start to experience trolls having a go at you, I'll put a link down in the description below to a fantastic video, music video, that Pan's Purse once sent to me when I was dealing with a troll on the forum, and it's called Don't Feed the Trolls. Incredibly funny video. Go and check it out, and put a link to any trolls that troll you about that video. Guys, if you enjoyed today's video and if you enjoyed this topic, then please let me know by putting a thumbs up on this video, and also comment with your thoughts on mental health awareness. Comment with your stories as well about how silver and gold have helped you in your life generally, and your mental health, if it's affected your mental health in a negative way as well. Share those. It's really important to share as much as we can about all of these different aspects. And as always, I want to say a massive thank you to all of you for watching, and please make sure that you like, share, comment and subscribe for more.